Welcome to episode 4 of Tailors. Right? Four. I'm Coray.
I'm Matt.
And together we edit trailers for Dark Arts Syndicates as part of the Trailer in a Box team. And we run this little podcast where we remix trailers. We take a look at awesome trailers, talk about why they're awesome, talk about what we might change about them, and then pick a new trailer to take and ruin in the most spectacular possible way. So for this week, we ruined the early access trailer for Satisfactory. Wait, I'm saying it right. Satisfactory. Oh God, I think I said it wrong in my. Okay, anyway, this one broke me. I don't know why, but trying to turn that into a sports game. We got too deep into it, so the first 5 seconds is pretty good.
Oh,
and the rest,
that's how it works.
And which one did you do? You did
the Satisfactory as a David Attenborough documentary.
So awesome! I can't wait to see it. All right, cool. So we'll take a look at that, and then we're looking at 007 First Light, which one of our common friends in our weekly Dungeons and Dragons game has been talking about nonstop. In part because I think he worked on it, but also because it just looks awesome. Personally, I played a ton of GoldenEye back in the day, so I am very excited. And neither of us have checked this thing out at all.
Going in fresh.
Yes, going in fresh. Why don't we jump right in?
All right. So this was mine. This was supposed to be like a David Attenborough version of it. So I have no idea what kind of game it would be, but we're all set.
For the first time, we have set foot onto a new world. Wondrous, lush, and full of new life. This virgin territory is breathtaking. It is, without question, the perfect ecosystem for us to explore and exploit the shit out of. Yeah, run that mother down.
Dude, that's such a good David Attenborough. How did you do that?
I just had to watch a few clips to get into the sequence of it. So yeah,
that was pretty good, man.
That was like really tight in there trying to get that stuff together. And I was like, I don't have enough material. It's like there's very few shots before they start building everything. But oh well, that's how it worked.
Dude, that was, and I was not expecting to and exploit the poop out of it. That was nice. And of course, the beep is funnier than the word.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. The censor's beep is more eloquent than the word it's replacing. So.
Shit! I have to follow that.
Yeah.
And you can, of course, beep that out.
This is a family friendly podcast. All right.
If you want, you can just start beeping out words. I like it to be funny. I combined Satisfactory with a sports game, which, at first you're like, oh, cool. I'll put some music that is sportsy over it. And then immediately you run out of ideas. This one broke me. I was like, I'm going to do voiceover. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I ran straight up out of time. I didn't even get to fix the. Anyway, it was very difficult, but I'm quite happy with Satisfactory Oot Ball 26. I don't know why that was so hard.
I like the two things on that one really quick. The first one is I liked the cut from the jumping off the ledge and then falling down past the things. That was great. That was great. Yes, the opening 5 seconds when you had to go ahead and get all the cuts perfect to the music. That was fantastic. I could see where you were going. I could see where you were going with it. And then the other one was also the fact that we both used the truck running over the creature.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that classic picture of the horse where like the front of the horse is beautifully rendered and the back is just like stuck together. And I mean, like speaking of about like the joy of video editing, like one of my favorite things is you get in this flow state where you've got everything lined up, you've got the music laid out, you have your metronome, and you're just jamming, right? You're like, got that, cool, that's lined up there. All right, great. And then you play it like every 30 seconds, and you just sort of like refine and refine and refine. And man, like I can spend 8 hours doing that, and I just sort of like wake up in a stupor, just like, what? I didn't eat, I didn't drink any water. Like I may have forgotten to pick up my children from something. Like that definitely happened at the beginning. And I looked down, I had like 45 minutes, and then I looked up and I had 10. And I was just like, I finished 5 seconds.
Yeah. It's like I had a couple ideas, but I jump around in the timeline. It was like I wanted this time. I did not want to forget the title like I did last time, so I had to go ahead and make sure that was in place, and the coffee stain in the front, and there's a couple other spots. And then after that, it's just sort of like, well, I got to grab something. Like let's see what works.
Yeah,
and that's not
just like.
And you also had you must have had to go ahead and also like download like the NFL trailer as well.
That was in the Madden trailer. Yeah.
And that's the crummy thing about this. That's still 1 hour. You still have to go ahead and just gathering your resources. Like sometimes you can kind of think ahead of like what kind of stuff you're looking for, but like when you have to go in and download it and then like, move it to the different folders, and then you put it in the wrong folder, and it's just it's a blast.
My file structure is jacked up. I definitely like very quickly fell apart. Like nothing was on, everything was just a mush on the timeline. I couldn't find anything. I live streamed it on LinkedIn. I think 3 or 4 people probably blocked me. It was an unholy mess. But credit to both Satisfactory and I don't know why I can't say that word. Yeah. Like the trailer itself, there's just so many cool bits in it. Like when you start playing around with the footage, like it's very easy to make something cool because A, it's a great game, and B, the trailer does like a phenomenal job of giving you these high action shots for what's functionally a strategy game, which is like one of the hardest genres to cut for. So good job to them.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to check out the First Light trailer here for the 007 video game. And again, neither Coray nor I have actually looked at this, so should be quite the experience.
I didn't catch your name.
I didn't give it.
Bond is immature and reckless. Headstrong. Thrill-seeking. Issues with authority.
Meet our new star, Air Crewman Bond.
Do you mind telling me why I'm here?
I want to make you a spy.
St. John Smythe, my dear.
009 is a master manipulator.
To catch him, we're going to need eyes everywhere.
When you're ready, Bond.
What about the girl?
A means to an end.
That's an interesting pickup line.
Whatever his endgame is, we won't see it coming.
Nice. Pretty critical for any IP-based title. You want to tap into that sentimentality, and the most important thing for a trailer is the beginning and the end. And this one nailed both with like perfect sentimental. There's another word I'm thinking of. It's like
nostalgia?
It's both a tribute. Sorry, yes, nostalgia. It was a perfect nostalgic tribute to the IP, and so I would say that like first most important, immediate sentimentality. Second most important, ends on that nostalgic note, and it really hits the feeling throughout. We've talked about it every single time, but that music, man. Ba-na, 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 right? So I just goes right to my heart, right? And then obviously the trailer is cut perfectly to that. So sentimental vibes, immaculate. I'm a big vehicle gameplay fan. So for me, the thing that really hooked me was when I saw the cars, right? So the vehicle gameplay, right? Showing that sort of, high-tech Bond car. Obviously, that's sort of table stakes for a game like this. But you could sort of squint at that and be like, maybe it's all on rails. Maybe it's an arcade thing, right? But like, once they showed the like SUV and you sort of see there's like, oh, there's some actual like real vehicle physics in there. I thought that was super interesting. Yes. And I really liked the, how do we say this? It's like the action gameplay, the representation of action gameplay. We've talked about showing the compulsion loop, right? I think if I'm not mistaken, this is sort of like a classic, action game where you're doing like a combination of like, movement puzzles, combat, melee and ranged, climbing, right? And it really represented action gameplay well in a way that it, I could look at it and understand what my interaction or verbs and nouns were going to be. So yeah, nostalgia, vehicle gameplay, action gameplay. If I had one complaint, I think, hearing my friend describe it, it sounds a little bit more innovative than what we see in the trailer. Obviously, getting all of that down in a minute is tough, but it struck me as a tiny bit sort of, traditional AAA action game. I'm
going to jump in really quick. I know you said not to do it, but I'm going to do it just really quick because I want to see if you agree. I was thinking of Uncharted.
That I was trying to think of Uncharted, but I kept thinking of Drake's Fortune. Thank you. See, one mind. Exactly, right? It was giving those vibes, and I think in reality, the game itself takes, Uncharted to a new area, but I didn't see that in this trailer. Now, I think I'm sort of like, splitting hairs at this point because it did the core stuff amazingly well. But if I had one area for improvement, I wanted to see the weird stuff the game does. But those are my top three: nostalgia, car, action gameplay.
Okay. You can see I changed mine to main three because this is more of a Satisfactory thing. It's like, so first of all, right up with you, it's like you got to use the James Bond theme. It is a classic. It is embedded as a part of a culture. As soon as you hear it, you automatically know exactly what you're getting into, and it makes you excited about it. It's like, oh man, this is something I want to get into. That's great. Number two is actually kind of like what you were just nitpicking on. Is that I hate to say it, but it was I felt it was a bit formulaic, and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way. Let me explain. It tells you exactly what kind of game it's going to be. And it's like, okay, so there's going to be like some car chases. There's going to be some action sequences. I can almost see in my head like the button combinations that I have to do in order to knock the guy's gun out of the hand and then catch it in midair, which is cool. That's cool. So I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. But that's the one thing I noticed is like you have 1 minute to get through this thing. They, for lack of a better term, they played it very safe. It's like we're going to show you these aspects to it. We're going to include some of the story elements to it and go from there as well, and that should work. So that was the other part.
Good point. Well said.
The other thing, and this is kind of like what's more of a main three than anything else, is that I would have liked to have seen more of a teaser in terms of what the storyline was. The big thing with the James Bond films is it's always like some really weird, innovative, crazy sort of like plan. Like, we're going to basically start a massive earthquake in California. Right. We're going to go ahead and engineer a war between China and the UK. We're going to use a laser made out of diamonds that blows up things. It's like all this wild stuff. And I don't really think I have the slightest idea. Now maybe that's not a bad thing, but for me personally, I would have liked to sort of like know what kind of like some of the stakes are. And also because it's only a minute, I don't know if this would have helped. This kind of goes into it. I'm not sure who the villain is. And this is just a personal preference. I don't know who the sidekick is. The villainous sidekick. I don't know if there's an Odd Job or a Jaws, or like one of these classic James Bond sidekick villains that are sometimes cooler than the villain themselves. So that's a personal preference of mine, anyways. The only other thing, and this is my little nitpick. I know you had to use a James Bond theme. You had to use the James Bond theme, but this is something I want to bring up because we talked about it with our friend. Lana Del Rey does an absolutely badass, perfect James Bond theme called First Light. And I was mentioning this to Coray and our friend, as far as I know, and I've listened to a lot of the music for the James Bond films. And actually, this goes beyond that. Sorry. As far as I know, this is the only time that a music track that was recorded exclusively for a video game has hit major radio airplay. Like I heard that on the radio, and I was like, "Wow, this sounds like a James Bond theme." And then there's some this from the new James Bond First Light. I was like, "Oh, there's a new film coming out." And later on, I found out, no, it's a video game. Kudos to the producers of the game for getting her on board. And
I think that's a great point. I would, and this is pure conjecture, sometimes with likenesses, with licensing, with deal terms, it can get really specific. So they may not have budgeted like, a trailer inclusion of that song in addition to the game itself. I did a quick search. I see a opening title sequence featuring the Lana Del Rey song, but I don't see a standalone trailer. Someone prove me wrong if I'm off here, but there might be some like a contract issue, basically, or not issue, but like just like a limitation of contract terms there. But great point.
We are now in DaVinci Resolve, and we're going to go ahead and break it down. We have the opening where, of course, you've got... I will say this. The very first thing they show is him in the boat. Interesting first choice. And then, because then the next thing is that I guess that's him coming into the location he's going to be working at, because then the next one is the introduction itself.
I mean, the whether it's cliche or classic, it starts off with the, good old show a bunch of action shots right up front and then go into your logo presentation. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
That's me. My human meat brain wants that. I want the whole thing up front so I can decide if I want to watch the other 55 seconds. And this delivered that. While you're cutting that, I will say like each of those shots was beautiful and the selection was really good and the cutting was really nice. But I think that might have been an interesting opportunity instead of doing a roll through, maybe like tell the whole story, right? Tell the story of like, it's the largest underground volcano layer ever. Whatever. Look at the weird, because you made a great point, Matt. Like the thing that makes the Bond movies great is like one crazy villain that you'd never conceptualize, and two, some sort of bizarre new tech, right? And if you could have told that story there, even if it's like one longer clip, it's the reason why we like Star Wars, right? Darth Vader is, arguably the coolest part of that, except the Millennium Falcon, of course. But
yeah,
same thing here. That would have been a great place to like tease the story and give us that villain. But as is, certainly executed at a high level.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like cutting from the very beginning here. So like from 1 minute into 12 seconds. So through the first 12 seconds, you have several cuts where they're intercutting a lot of action sequence gameplay moments, possibly cinematic as well. Like that scene where the building apparently blows up. That's probably more cinematic than anything. Or then again, maybe not like that over the person, third person view could very well be that. So they're interspersing a lot of the gameplay with the actual cinematics, which is interesting.
Yeah, which is cool. Definitely showed you the feel of it. I want to also call out at right around at 18 seconds, they show the car doing some really cool stuff. And to my eye, that's what actually caught me for the first time, where I was like, ooh, that's interesting. That looks like real car physics. I could be being played a fool, but that looks like good video game car physics. And it looks like then they sort of go into like a vehicle vignette where they're cutting between a bunch of different vehicles. And I think it ends at around 27, 28 seconds, right? And so I think they do a very smart thing where it's like up front, you're looking at most of the audience who's interested in being James Bond and running around with a gun and cool story. And then, the X% of the other audience, like weirdos like me, who are like, oh, vehicles.
Now they do get into they do talk a little bit. Actually, I take it back because I only saw it the first time. They do mention 009 as like a master manipulator. So I'm wondering if they're actually going for the GoldenEye plot of the 00 agent who went rogue.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know. But like they do give you a good amount of gameplay footage within, like from what is that? 28 basically through 31 before they give you a breather. And I think that's an
Yeah.
interesting thing to point out is like how much do you actually go ahead and show with these kind of trailers? And I love to hear your take on it. Um, how much direct action set pieces can you show before it starts to like numb the audience? Like how much do you have to like intersperse it with sort of like cinematic cuts or quiet beats or stuff like that?
Yeah, you definitely want it to flow like it, and it's I think it's closer to jazz than orchestral music, right? Each piece of content is going to be different. Each IP, each audience. I think they're probably selling to an audience that has a pretty high tolerance for action, and so I think you can with this one you can be much more like all out action most of the time, and you're just sort of like putting those like little breaths of like story vignettes or pans or vehicles, whereas something like Satisfactory that we just looked at was sort of the inverse, right? It was almost like most of it was like building stuff or moving through the environment, locomotion, and then there was like little interspersed high action moments. So I think this is this trailer knowing its audience. It's a great point though.
Yeah. And I'm just
we gotta
really...
also highlight the coolest part, right? Right around 43 seconds, the pistol grab, like.
Oh yeah. That's like that's a key shot right there.
Looking at this, it's a good layout of what we were just talking about, right? Right up front, bang, bang, bang. Just like the Satisfactory Ball 26 trailer I cut. Like, yeah, you want a bunch of stuff up front. You want to take advantage of that high energy. If I recall correctly, it's like this whole section here is all pretty high action. Nope, I'm lying. This whole section here, those are our fast cuts, right? So I think that's worth noting that we looked at a few trailers that were non-traditional that didn't do that, but there's a reason why teams often do this. It gives you the whole thing up front, and this one I think probably even that first 5 seconds, right, was even a little more aggressive, right, than the rest, which again is really smart and just a way to make sure that you kind of grab that audience, and then you can see it gets into like that slower cadence in the middle.
It's a little bit misleading because actually like the slower cadence here still has a lot of cuts in it.
That's true.
The difference is that in the very beginning there's like no context. There's nothing to kind of like anchor yourself. So like it is much more of it feels more frenetic, I think. Like
for sure.
This section here, you can see if you look at the actual clip itself, that there's like several shots in that section. That's a little bit more of a like if you're driving around town, it would not necessarily an action set of sequences. There might have been a couple in there, but like I put this one here just to kind of like point out to it. Like they have a lot of these. They have a lot of these moments where you just have this short little like 3-second cut of an action moment. And actually that's not a bad thing, because with these kind of with these kind of games, what happens a lot of times is that like if you actually were to watch like someone else playing it, they could be crouched in the corner, pop out, shoot, come back in, pop out, shoot. It's great playing it. Watching it isn't the most exciting thing in the world, and you want to like really sell the action on this. So I think that was the smart move on their part. Is like, you always have, when you're doing the trailers, you got to trim it down to like what's that key action moment, that key, that key sequence.
Where's the gun flip? I think that one was.
Oh, I think that might be that. I think that's the one that I did right there.
Yeah. And what's interesting is there's like sort of 3 big beats, right? It's like right at the beginning, it's our 007 thing, right? Mm-hmm. Right in the middle, right? Cars, right? And then at the end, right? Gun flip. Right. And we've talked throughout, like you kind of need those beats on the thirds to pull people in. You need a real big moment, right? So initially up front, you got to keep people watching, and then people are going to kind of like, they're in, and you got to deliver another like pop about a third of the way through, right? And really, I mean, this one's kind of right here, about a third of the way, right? We get our cars. We get sweet vehicle physics.
I have to interrupt. I apologize, but I was wrong. It's actually this is the whole gun flip sequence. I had a double check on that.
Yeah, even better. Yeah, if we look at it, it's like right here, right? These are kind of our thirds, and yeah, each one sort of like pulls you back into it. You're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I can kick someone's gun and catch it, right? Definitely a very good sort of three act structure, if you will.
Yeah. So they have it set up where they've got like, again, it's action, rest, action, rest. Like in this section here, there's a lot of cuts back and forth between like sitting there. Well, that one there is like she's sitting there talking about, something, and then they're showing off the cars. So that one's like more of a rest moment. Then you get into this one here, which is the cars, like that one right there, with that the first, like real, like one of the first shots of the cars flying around. And then over here, this is the whole slow 007 logo over various bits of the gameplay. So that's kind of like just the closing wrap up for it. And of course, hey, this is when it's coming out. But yeah, it's all about creating a rhythm with these.
Yeah.
You don't want to make it too fast and overwhelming, because then it just kind of like, then the action parts don't seem as exciting, and you don't want to make it too long in the slow sections, because then people might get bored, they might get distracted, or it might give the wrong impression of what the game is. It's not a talking simulator, it's not a walking simulator, it's an action adventure game. All right, so we're back. You might not have known it, but Coray and I had a long discussion about what to do with this, because one of the things that's important to understand as you put these trailers together, each one has its own sort of like feel, its own sort of format. And when you're building a trailer together, so much of it depends on the footage that you get and that you can use. This is highly skilled, highly polished. So there's a lot of layers into it. There's a lot of cuts. And we were trying to figure out what can we do with this that will actually that will give us an honest to God chance to make something within an hour.
In 1 hour.
Yeah. Without having to like go ahead and actually like go through like 5 hours of like gameplay footage, or just recreating what they've already done here. So, but Coray had gone ahead and actually figured out a couple of genres from some of the ideas that people have posted.
That's right. And these are both from Doug Oglesby, one of my oldest contacts in the games industry. Hi, Doug.
All right. So, Coray, you're the one who like found this lifeline. You get to pick who's doing what.
All right. Well, given that I don't really understand this genre because it's too hard and scary, I'm going to give you the Souls genre mashup for 007, Dark Souls for 007 First Light. I look forward to seeing how the hell you do that.
So me too.
And I will be taking the film noir, which, as you pointed out, it's a little close to the core content, but I think I've got like the Calvin and Hobbes style, like way over the top, like gritty detective, that kind of thing. So I'm feeling good about that.
Awesome.
Nice. Brings us to the next question. What are we taking a look at next week? Or do we throw it up on LinkedIn and just kind of see what people say? And
why don't you put it on LinkedIn? No, put it on LinkedIn. Put on LinkedIn and see what people want us to take a look at.
Should we do that? Wait, I thought we had to, because if we don't, yeah, well, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, if need be, we can always like grab something else. But I think let's toss it to the masses and see what they say.
Nice. I actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to contradict myself again here. You and I are currently working on a trailer for the lovely folks at XRT. It is a trailer for a vehicle-based game, if you will. What if we took a look at the most recent Battlefield trailer? Because if there's one game that shows vehicles in an awesome way, it's Battlefield.
Oh, okay. All right. Sure. I'm down with that.
Nice. And it'll give us an excuse to talk about the stuff we're working on. All right. So next week, we've got Matt remixing 007 with the Dark Souls genre, me remixing 007 with the film noir genre. And we are going to take a look at the most recent entry from the Battlefield franchise, because Matt and I are currently working with Mr. John Gardner on a training simulator for vehicles. So very close to the type of work that we're doing, and highly relevant, probably might help us a little bit as we're working through that project. But thanks for watching. Matt, thanks for putting all this together.
Thank you, Coray.
It's wonderful. We're Trailer Tailors. go check us out on social media and the web under Dark Arts Syndicate. And we obviously are 2/3 of the Trailer in a Box team. Hit us up if we can help you with your trailers. That's all for this one.
Later.